Three collectors from three different perspectives come together for a weekly show that catches you up on the hobby you love. Hobby news, hobby drama, insider talk, and everything from collecting, investing, and selling. Welcome to Inside the Hobby.
I'm Frank AZHP. I run Frank AZHP Collectibles, and as much as it is fun BSing about stuff, I would like to occasionally just direct and not be on the show because I'm tired of seeing my own face and hearing my own voice. So, somebody go ahead and hit me up, and we'll schedule something. We'll get you on here instead. My opinion only goes so far, and I'm already tired of my own opinion. Brian, what's up?
Hey, I'm Brian with Gray Street Sports Cards. Welcome to Inside the Hobby. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about some BreakCompCards things and a few other stories down the way. So are you a breaker that likes to take advantage of some people?
How's it going, guys? This is Nick with Trading Frames. Love doing a lot of custom framing, but today is also National Yo-Yo Day. Did you know that? I found that out from Brian. So go to Brian.
What an intro, gentlemen.
Yes. All right, so we do have a few topics today. We're going to be talking a little bit about BreakCompCards, some things that went with them. After BreakCompCards, we're going to go into some news from today around PSA price increase, as well as a CGC grading announcement. After that, we're going to kind of do some quick hits kind of things. Basically, we're covering a few articles. We're going to be trying to do it a little bit quicker kind of a thing. Things from like the eBay auctions to TOPPS announcements and so on and so forth, all the way down to even some Tom Brady news that has been in there. Given like our little bit of things of opinions on it, but maybe in those quicker hits, some of us may not get into as much of it in that part of it. But try to keep the show as efficient as possible for you. And
yeah, I mean, we got a lot of ground to cover. We missed like a month.
Yeah,
just due to life, it happens. So it is what it is. We'll jump into this first thing. You put some work into this, Brian.
I have.
What's the new? Is this? We're starting off with a negative story, I think.
Well,
kind of.
It's depends on what you want to kind of go with it. But this originally was brought on when I was taking a look at BreakCompCards. They popped up in my feed again. Originally it was just around a story that they were doing with some other content creators, and they were doing some like culture of breaking, so it caught my attention. I was just looking at it. If you go on their feed, you can scroll down through BreakComp's feed and find where you'll see some other content creators in there, and they talk about the culture of breaking, the psychology of it, and how they paired with that content creator at the time for it. It's an interesting read and an interesting video if you wanted to check that on your own time. But then shortly after that were some basically posts that they had about some negative breakers reaching out to them about things that they got wrong. Now, disclaimer, before I mention anything about the breaker, I will say that the breaker mentioned in this story, we did reach out to, but they also, I do believe, run some sort of spyware. So if you yourself do click on their social media or any of their other accounts, they will know, and they'll likely come to your account, as this breaker did click on my profile, liked a few things about 5 minutes after I clicked on his profile without hitting follow. So just a disclaimer for you to let you know before we get into the story. But what it comes down to is that BreakCompCards posted that they had, their top 10 breakers of a break, and had the Break Club 3.0 listed at about $4,800 for a box or case of for all the teams in the break. And that breaker reached out saying, you have incorrect information. And BreakCompCards, the way that they handle things is they'll reach out through DMs and try to find out from that breaker what information do we have incorrectly. And BreakComps did post that conversation. That's also in their feed. You can read the conversation between BreakComps and the breaker. And, they were asking, what did we get wrong? And the breaker kind of like went into like a bunch of things about other breakers because of this site or being hurt. It was a very random kind of response. And so I did my part in reaching out to both BreakComp and the Breaker. When I reached out to BreakComp and asked him about the situation was because the following post the next day came from them saying that the Breaker was having people put negative reviews on BreakComps and they would get entered into a $100 drawing that was in one of their breaks. So basically you go and leave bad comments and crap all over BreakComp's social media and they will enter you in this drawing for that. And so that obviously led me to ask, is this actually impacting? When I did reach out to BreakComp via Instagram, he mentioned that, basically he felt like it was, that he felt like it was basically not impacting him too bad on the negative side, but he just said that it was definitely bringing a lot more attention to him. And then, so I started just asking some questions, like what it is that they're here for and like what their purpose is. And I can tell from talking to them that they are all for the breaking culture. Like they enjoy it. They're, part of it. And their whole purpose is to kind of be a kayak for the breaking community. So therefore, if you're a person that can't afford to spend, $500 on a team or $100 on a team, maybe their site can teach you and show you a breaker that's doing this for, a lot more affordable rate for you. Maybe they're not breaking a case. They're breaking only a hobby box. And it might showcase that on there. And, and as I was looking at it, I just also started to pay attention to the social media, like back and forth on this, where BreakComps definitely keeps a lot of things in the DMs. And this Breaker that the Break Club 3.0 does do a lot of public posts and that, which you can see in a lot of the comments on those feeds. So to be fair, I did reach out to the Breaker to ask their side of the story. And I reached out to him via Instagram. He responded to me that he doesn't really use Instagram that much and that he'd prefer for me to talk to him on the Facebook group that he breaks on. And so I went over to Facebook group and messaged him on Facebook Messenger. And I still have yet to receive a response from him in Facebook Messenger and or in Instagram from that point because he preferred to move there. So I went to his preferred messaging. But I believe he wanted me to actually join his Facebook breaking group and talk in the comments publicly on there. And I'm not going to do that. I wanted to be like BreakCompCards and talk through the DMs and talk privately, get the information in the story for this. So this is why this story is going to come from a one side here, is that he never gave his side of the story of it. And
it seems like if he really wanted to give a legitimate answer either to BreakCompCards in their comments and on Instagram or from you, he would have just given you the comment instead of giving you the runaround. Go over here, sign up here. I don't use this. He could have just replied. Like if he really cared or if there was any type of like proper PR response, then it would have already been prepared. And it would have literally just been a copy paste statement. Like, here's our statement on it, But
exactly.
like, I don't know, whatever. I guess things are just so complicated in this trading card space. It's so hard to just answer simple questions and like, what numbers did we have wrong?
Exactly. And from the talks with even like BreakCompCards, like he mentioned that it sounds like the guy was more upset about smaller breakers being hurt by the website, which once again, if BreakCompCards knew he was hurting smaller breakers, I don't think that's what he's creating the site for, is to make it only bigger breakers. He's trying to actually filter people down to the smaller ones based on the way his site works, which that's kind of why I'm a little bit like confused in this whole situation on why he was upset and kind of trying to say that was a problem. And even in the comments on this, I'll say this, I don't buy into breaks, but if I don't care either. But if I own a company that's a breaking company, the first thing I'm thinking is that it's my profession to be upfront and honest with people, and therefore, if I'm the face of my company and it's a breaking company, I probably want to act a little more professional in that. And therefore, having
transparency and professionalism and in a business, what a concept.
Exactly. Having a negative review drawing to go and cite your entire group of followers, which he's got about 2,400 or something like that, I think is what he has in his Facebook group. So to take almost 3,000 people and tell them to go, like, just leave nasty comments on somebody's social media because you don't like what they posted of a thing.
It just sounds like a publicity stunt to try and build himself more.
It does, but and also it's going to backlash because if I'm here I am a person that I have the means to buy into breaks. I could probably afford to go to his and buy. I am not going to choose to buy. All
this does is give more credibility and usefulness for BreakCompCards. This entire thing, like, it doesn't make this breaker look good.
No,
it doesn't matter how big they are. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot more people who are gonna want to no longer break with this person than to continue to break with this person. I mean, it'd be different if they just like came out front and be like, "Oh yeah, this is the deal." Okay, but like trying to play the workaround. Well, all right, I'm already done with this.
Yeah,
Nick, you haven't really weighed in. Do you have any opinion? Or I don't care about breaking either, so.
I'm not big on breaking either, but the thing, when I was checking out the store and looking at BreakComps, I liked it too, like, because not only did it show me like the different types of companies that do breaking, it also showed me companies like in the Phoenix area and people that actually do set up around the valley. So it helped me get a new perspective with the people from my area of town or our area of town.
Okay.
So by seeing all that, I found like probably like 4 or 5 Arizona-based like companies on that list, and I'm not a breaker like we all said but just knowing other companies out there and seeing them at shows, like, it's good to like help support them and knowing that they're actually doing good.
Yeah, if I was into breaks, of course, I'm sure I would be a lot more interested in some of the local companies, because I know that we have a ton of companies that do, from AZ that do breaks. Never done a break, never will. So like my shits that I give about breaks is like right here. Like, I don't know.
See, I've watched a few breaks because I like seeing like what's inside of packs and what people can pull and stuff. But personally, I'm not gonna spend the money on what I probably won't get.
Yeah,
like I'd rather
Yeah, go ahead, Nick. Yeah, you're fine.
I'll say at that point, I might as well go get my own packs and see if what I pull myself instead of being like, I'm going to go into a break with NBA teams, but I'm going to pay this much for Suns or I'm going to pay this much for the Bulls. And if I don't get either one of those teams, I'm out of all my money. And I still get to see all the other stuff and other players I do like that other people are getting. So at that point, I'd rather get my own pack so that way I just build my own collection.
Exactly. And for me, like, if I wanted to buy into breaks, the first thing I'm going to do is, one, look at the value of the break and what I'm going to possibly get, but two, the professionalism of the breaker. And doing what this guy did is definitely lost me as a person to be a customer for him. Like, if he wanted me to join his Facebook group to talk in the public comments, to get his answer from there, like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to join that and talk that way. I want to talk about this story through the DMs because I want to get your side of the story. And as a person who's been a manager in customer service and had to listen to customers say vile and awful things that make me want to like be emotionally attacking that person for what they said to my agent. Like, I understand having emotions when something's frustrating and makes you mad, but that's where like you have to understand you have to professionally step away and be there and not ruin the brand at that point in time.
Yeah, it just seems like these people need to get somebody to handle PR. Just make a statement, and then anybody that asks about it, link to it. I mean, you can Google basic PR stuff. I'm old. I've been in and out of the corporate world. It's just like, it's really not that hard. I mean, it's business ownership. I mean, this is basic level stuff. This is business 101. If you don't want to answer the question, just say you don't owe anybody shit.
Yeah.
Whatever. Say, I don't owe you shit.
Exactly.
And then that's it. That's the statement. Whatever. But like, otherwise, like, be professional. Make something. Say something. Like, whatever. People are
Bell
idiots.
rings, so let's move it forward to the next one, I think, at this point. All right. So.
All right.
We have a couple things with this next story here. So, first and foremost, this comes from a tweet of a person that basically got an email from PSA. saying that he's being upcharged, which we all know, if you have a card and you're on the lowest tier, you get upcharged because they think you're in the next tier based on the value of your card. But he was a little bit surprised at the price. Normally, the upcharge is for $39.99 when he gets to the $500 to $1,000 range. And this time he got it saying it's now $74.99 for that card. So you're talking,
Talk about a hike.
Almost doubling the price, almost, close. And the comments, the feedback, and the attention that tweet gathered today is not good for PSA. It was not a very popular one on that sign. A lot of people a little bit upset about that due to the price hike on that, which, following up later on in the day, I happened to notice, I opened up my feed and caught CGC making an announcement, kind of the reverse of it, and theirs was all bulk submissions now $11, and we're covering up to $1,000. So, what's your guys' thoughts on this news of grading change with CGC making a lowering of price and increase of value, while PSA ups their value? What do you think on that one, Nick?
Let's go CGC.
You got a flag, like a little CGC flag. I mean,
No, I like CGC. I really do like them. So, like, them actually being more part of the hobby and doing this for this, while, like, everyone always bases their grading off of, like, PSA. So for someone to actually challenge that and, like, be able to get these prices out, and then all the stuff that's coming up with them, like, it's great. I love that they're really competing with PSA. Like, you see people like Beckett really going down the list, but this is actually a huge benefit for the hobby.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say 97, 98% of all of my slabs, which is like 3 rows, nothing but graded card boxes back here. Oh, that's all PSA. That doesn't mean that I don't like what CGC is doing. Like, clearly, I would love to submit with CGC. I would love to. I already love their slabs. They make great comic book slabs. Now with the addition of JSA doing authentication for them in the future, that competes against PSA DNA. Am I like mind-blowingly excited about like Monopoly versus Monopoly? Because I mean, I guess the word Monopoly is kind of assuming there's one, but I mean, in this case, we have 2. Like, who else is there? Mm-hmm. So I'm always going to have some level of complaint of like, if there's only a couple companies, but at least there is now competition for PSA DNA, and I happen to like their slabs. I think that's good stuff. So,
Well,
I don't know.
A long way for golf green labels.
Oh yeah, definitely. As far as PSA raising their prices, I'm kind of annoyed because those are the cards that I actually want graded on PSA. I want like the higher end stuff graded with PSA. So I feel like maybe even this was a move like, hey, we know people are gunning for us. We know people are coming. The new CGC already made a move by getting JSA. So at this point, how can we profit off of what we have? So that could have been the move. But like that was also partially of Beckett's downfall as well with their pricing structures. So, I mean, obviously Beckett had other issues because their presence from a community standpoint is just like zero, non-existent. Yeah, they need an entirely new staff. We were talking about this the other day, Brian.
Yeah, exactly.
But like. Whatever. I mean, at least we don't have one big boy with a couple small, tiny little guys off to the side. At least now there's, 2 companies that can compete with each other because ultimately at the end of the day, that's what's best for consumers. It doesn't remove the options that we already have for those other companies. Sure, it kind of removed SGC because PSA just makes the money from that, but I don't know. I'm generally pretty happy. CGC slabs are really nice. Now, just to play devil's advocate here as well, and to mention, there are still just a ton of people who are going to have the opinion, unlike us, who are excited about this, who say, until CGC slabs sell for as much as the PSA slabs, I'm not interested. That may happen. That may never happen. Who knows? We don't know what this market's going to look like in 10 years. Look at 10 years ago. It was like 70-30 between, PSA and Beckett. So, like, clearly things are changing, and as long as it's less percentage for the number one spot, I always root for the underdog, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I agree. Like, when it comes to this, like, I feel like this is a win for CGC. The fact that, I don't know if they timed this announcement knowing and having watched, but either way, like, it made me definitely look at them more. Like, as a person that's been building a stack of stuff to, like, send off and for submission, like, I am definitely probably going to be using CGC for that submission. Like, it's, for these prices, I can't say no. Even if it is stuff that I am going to, like, use to resell to, like, continue to fund my collection, I can take the loss on what I might have gained on a PSA level, especially knowing that, once you drop below 10 on PSA, it doesn't kind of, like, matter. Like, sometimes you get a 9.5, which can be above a 9 in PSA in some people's
PSA
eyes.
doesn't have a 9.5.
Exactly, and that's part of it, is that they don't have a 9.5 where you could get that with CGC, and then you're going to have people that are going to pay a premium for CGC slabs because they like them more than PSA, and because PSA just did this. Like,
even if the hardcore card community, sports card community, is not on board right now, I feel like it's such a long-term move anyway, because CGC is not a company that will be ignored. Like, even though they may not have had a long period of time presence within the sports card industry, they are so established from the comic book world and the coin world that, like, they are a dominant force. So, picking up JSA is like, people don't realize it right now because of PSA. Like, oh, please, Daddy, PSA more.
Well, then everybody listens to influencers or, like, buy PSA. That's how you get the most of your money.
Well,
PSA.
And you can't always blame them either, because that what you just said, money. Like, bottom line is sales. But at some point, CGC is not going to be like these pandemic companies that started out in 2020 and they're gone. Like, CGC is here for the long run, and they're here for the long haul. So we're going to be seeing CGC slabs in 20 years. Or at least 10 years. So it's going to happen. Whether the card industry loves it or not, they're going to be here. So whether they do well within that 10-year period or not is a different story. I mean, they've got a leg up on any other history of any other grading company that's ever tried.
Yep.
That we are aware of. Whether it's Gem or Mint or GMA or, HGA or any of these companies, like, what CGC already had established and is now pushing in the world, they're going to be here, whether you like it or not. So we'll see what happens with the prices.
Because they actually have that background to back them up in case.
Yeah.
Unlike all these other companies are like, oh, we're collectors that are trying to bring more to the hobby. These are actually people that have business in authentication and grading. They already established that. Now the prices are going to get better to trading cards. That's what people don't understand. They expanded to trading cards. They didn't start with the trading cards.
Yeah.
Not to mention that, but, like, I know one thing that's, we were talking about back when it was the SGC PSA merger, but there's just something I've seen about, like, Pete from SGC, where I like Pete from SGC, and if the day comes where SGC is, like, absolved and disappears, and they just get disappeared in a PSA, I could see Pete being that kind of a person to want to go and help another company grow, and he's been a good CEO to help SGC grow as fast as it is in the sports card world, and he could become a free agent in the next couple of years if PSA does absolve and SGC disappear. We don't know what the future holds there, and having a guy like that helped SGC climbed to number 2 in such a short amount of time. Like literally, beginning of 2023, it was still PSA, Beckett, SGC, and that was the 3. Mm-hmm. And by the end of that year, CGC and SGC were 2-3, and they were back and forth. But SGC clearly had jumped out to have such a significant year that they knocked Beckett all the way to the bottom. Mm-hmm. And Beckett has a long way to come back, like we were saying, and that's in a large part due to Pete, and I don't think Pete wants to stay, is what I see his body language and just kind of question, is Pete on his way out?
I'm sure Pete better be out on his way out with a stack of dough because of what he did for
yes,
SGC.
Exactly.
So, I mean, if he didn't, then the big boys got the best of him, I guess. But
yeah,
I mean, who knows what he'll do? If you were in that case, would you write? You never know. Somebody might jump right back in the industry, or they might go on a vacation and buy a house or something. Like, who knows?
Exactly.
But yeah, let's move on. We got some more stuff. Not necessarily my favorite.
Next bits here we're going to go into are kind of some quick hits things. So we'll have the person introduce the story, talk a little about it, and we'll give some topic onto. We'll give some comments on it. Some of these we might not give comments on, but we'll see. We'll go starting off here. Nick, I think you got the first one up on the list.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's a little bit older news, but eBay is acquiring Goldin Auction in a trade with collectors. So in that trade, PSA is also going to be getting eBay's vault. And so with this happening, so everything that's in the eBay's vault will be officially PSA, and then they're also doing some sort of partnership to where when you submit items to PSA and you get like your grade back, you can immediately transfer all that data to eBay, so that way you can immediately put it up for sale while waiting for it to come back from PSA. Me, personally, I'm not huge for this. Like, I love that eBay and Goldin's going together, because that's going to expand the viewership of all the auctions from eBay and Goldin sites. To me, the whole PSA being able to add on to eBay before you get the card in hand, I'm not a big fan of that. I'd rather know what my item looks like in hand before putting online, because what if it sells while it's in transit, and then when you get it, it doesn't look like how it should, or it gets damaged or something. But
I mean, you can refer to the photos too, but like, I mean, it does bring some certain level of issues, but like, I mean, it's more monopoly here. I mean, eBay already bought.
I was waiting for that word from you.
Yeah, eBay already bought ComC.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now they bought Goldin. Like, I'm getting so sick and tired of these merger news, you guys. I'm so sick of it. Like, we are all witnessing it in real time. How soon is it going to be until we have one company that owns everything?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm a broken record on every episode. I'm already getting tired of it. Brian, what's going on?
I mean, for me, it's starting to kind of feel like the sponsorship of a stadium. Like you go to your team stadium, and me, I was a fan. As a Brewers fan, like for years we would go to Miller Park, and now it's like State Farm Stadium or something. Like, I don't know. Like it changed, and it was like Miller Park and the Brewers made sense, at least with that sponsorship. But then like it changes every 4 to 5 years, and it's something else, and all of a sudden, like, as a movie that made fun of this thing, all of a sudden you're going to the Preparation H Center or something like that down the road. It kind of feels the same way here with this. Is like, it was just shortly after they were just purchased by collectors that now Goldin's moving over to eBay. So it's like, what, in 2 years are they going to be up for sale and Fanatics will have them? I don't know. It just kind of feels like it's just them moving around.
Yeah, we lost Nick. He'll be back in a sec here. Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. It's. I'm getting tired of it already. I know I already said that, but I don't really know what I can add here. It's just gonna be like old man yells at cloud. Like Frank complains about late stage capitalism. Like, I mean, what is this, an economics show? So,
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's just my opinion, and clearly, you know, I could be wrong, like we all could. But, yeah, let's go ahead and move on.
Sure.
Goldin, eBay. I'm just really getting tired of seeing Ken Goldin's face, too. You guys made me unblock Goldin to capture that video for today's episode, by the way. All right.
That's my
So I
goal.
take it you
is
didn't
how many
watch his
people can I
Netflix
get
show?
Frank to unblock? How many people
No.
can I get Frank to unblock in his blocked list at the end of the year?
I immediately block all people. Anybody that talks about, like, what is a 9-figure bank account on video, instant block. Like, all right, what a douche. All right, so we're moving on. We're going to talk about some top stuff. Brian didn't even ask. He just automatically assigned the top stuff to me.
I mean, you're our resident Topps guy.
It's all, yeah, I'm the resident Topps guy. Which I feel like such love and hate. Like, I used to like it a lot more before Fanatics bought them, but then again, I don't even know if Topps cards would still exist anymore without Fanatics, so who knows. All right, well, we got redemptions. Topps did something good. I actually like this. I think this is legit. Ignore Nick dropping and coming back. It's his own problem. So, I think this is good. This is nice. This is a good gesture. It's generally, overall, a positive gesture towards the community in saying, we're in this for the long haul. We want to provide you guys with stuff. Now, of course, people are going to take it however they're going to take it. Topps is, as expected, a company that is trying to make money. So by doing something like this, they are expecting some praise, and therefore I believe they deserve it. Are redemptions perfect? No. Are redemptions Topps' fault? It kind of depends on how you look at it. If guys are signed to contracts for the NFLPA to sign X amount of products from their distributor of cards, and they do not do that, I don't know. We could have, say, maybe don't announce the autographs ahead of time, or don't have a checklist, or, I mean, like, they're doing what they can. You know, players are sending back cards when they can. Is it perfect? No. In no way am I, like, sticking up for Topps on failed redemptions. But, like, I don't hear about it that much in comparison to the other guy. I mean, that's kind of I'm not trying to introduce, a logical fallacy here, but, well, they do it worse,
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. Good for them. Do you guys... I've done one redemption in the last 10 years. What's up, Nick?
I was saying I'm not a big fan of redemptions because I like opening a pack and seeing the autograph right then and there instead of being like, hey, congratulations, you could get an autograph.
Right, but if you've announced that a certain player is signing because he's contractually supposed to sign and he doesn't get it to you, what else are you going to do? You got to put redemptions in, right? Like, what do you do at that point?
Yeah, it's...
Good point.
It is tough, like, because you're right. It's a contractual thing. Like, they have to get something on, get something out there. It's, obviously with the window being longer, I think that's a good thing because it gives them more time, so that Topps can fulfill that. So they're not sitting there giving out redemption cards for a guy like that finally signed, and they're giving them out the year later and then they're screwing over everybody from the previous year going, well, here's, Joe Bob Frank man that you didn't want. You were supposed to get, this top prospect. And instead
Joe Bob Frank man.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, it's just like, it's better for that part for the window, like, to, like, get the redemption in there. But at the same time, I think redemptions as a whole are just not as satisfying. Like, the only
Of course not. Redemptions suck. We all know redemptions suck. But, like, there's nothing that we can do about it, right?
No.
If anybody out there in the card world has any solve all solution to redemptions, then please, because we've been dealing with this since like 1995. Like, this is the same exact issue. Guys don't sign, stuff was announced, got to put it out with redemptions. It is what it is. Like, if you got a solution, I'm sure Panini or Topps would have paid you $1 million for that solution by now. But I thought this was a good quality thing to do for the community. Right? Can I give Topps credit? I still don't like Fanatics, but...
See, like the whole window opening from like 2 to 10 years, that's a great thing. I'm just, I said, I'm just not into the whole redemptions. I'd rather have that excitement of seeing it then and there and say, all right, now I got to wait more.
Yeah, I feel like one of the things that I would think would be fun for redemptions, or at least a way to help it, is that have a backup plan in place. If you can't get the guy to auto, have it on that redemption, like you get the autograph, or we have a backup plan of like a limited print run of the guy, but it's not going to have an autograph on it, maybe, or something like that. You kind of do something where there's a special redemption limited print run of said player that, maybe they make 25 of them, because they start looking at the numbers and see that.
You know what? Why don't I got a good idea here for Topps. How about release a card that was the exact card that they were supposed to sign, but just stamp did not sign in time right on it, and then put that in the packs. See how happy the fans are at the player after that one. I'm just kidding. They would be mad at Topps anyway, because it's always Topps' fault. So,
picture of Wemby card with that on it, or whatever that is.
That's why I was laughing so hard. I instantly saw that image in my head.
That's such a good segue there, Brian.
Yeah, there we go. And there he is with the actual auto.
Like, I guess this is kind of an older topic, but we have to discuss it, obviously. It came out, and then we haven't done an episode in a while. You guys know I have things to say. So, everyone saw this, and you guys know the way I feel because I ranted and raved to you guys about it already. First off, just disclaimer. Like, I feel like I gotta put this out as a preface. I'm not a Fanatics fanboy. I've been collecting Topps cards since I was X years old, and that's pretty much all I did. And when a monopoly popped up in Panini and bought an exclusive license, I refused to buy Panini cards because I didn't want to deal with a monopoly. Now it's coming back to Topps and will eventually be then a Topps monopoly. I am not going to be happy about a monopoly, even though it's the brand that I collect. So just for preface statement here. But with all that being said, I love Topps Chrome. That's my primary modern card of choice and has been since 1996. I like basketball. It is my second favorite sport, right behind football. If I can get Topps Chrome basketball, yes, please. Like, it's not that complicated. Now, if that Topps Chrome is going to come like 2021 Finest, where it's a bunch of vets in suits, okay, sure. I'll take it at $60 to $70 a box, which is still lower than what people are trying to ask for it. And I wouldn't pay any more than that. But if you want to give me some legit stuff, give me some legit stuff. But don't have it be like bad airbrush photos. And to me, this looks fantastic.
It looks clean.
I don't care that it doesn't say Spurs after San Antonio. I don't care. I don't care that they might have done a very small airbrush on the back of his jersey where the Spurs logo is above his thing. This is tastefully done. So people are, Topps is cashing out. Well, no shit. They got the license for Wemby. They can have autos. They can put out cards as long as they're in this classy format and they're not like obnoxiously airbrushed like we've seen from, crappy brands in the 90s, then we'll be fine. And some people are always going to complain, it's unlicensed. I don't care. I love Leaf. I've admitted a million times that I love Leaf. Leaf does not like in a classy form airbrush out everything on their cards. Neither does Wildcard. Neither does multiple other, Panini with baseball, stuff like that. They try to get shots where they're convenient and stuff, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. I think this looks good. If the rest of the set looks this good, then it's going to be a great product, and I'm going to be happy to have it. And I don't care about the license. But different people care about different things. I have tons of Topps 1970s football cards in my collection. Those were not licensed by the league either, so they did not have logos. They would airbrush jerseys, or they would get shots of guys on the sidelines. Most of 1970s cards. Joe Montana's rookie card from 81 Topps is not a licensed San Francisco 49ers card. It's just San Francisco. They may even say 49ers, but there's no logos. So, I mean, whatever. Unlicensed cards have existed forever, and no one ever cared. And now people are raising a big fit. So if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Like, who cares? So I've ranted enough here. Brian, what's your thoughts?
I mean, I agree. I like the design. I like Topps Chrome as a fan from the 90s. Like, Topps is the only brand other than Upper Deck left that I recognize from when I came back into the hobby. So I'm definitely a fan of Topps Chrome and seeing him come back. I think kind of like you, like, unlicensed cards I have no problem with either. It's when you do the unlicensed cards, good or bad, is what it is. And I think the big fuss of this announcement here was that there's a, you know, from the announcement of it, there's a lot of people on that right-hand column when you look at who's, like, buzzing about this, that people are, like, looking back and saying, look at what they were talking about before. And from, you know, our favorite boy, Jeff Wilson, you know, and Mojo Sports and a few others.
Man, why'd you have to say his name?
I know. But, like, these guys legitimately have said unlicensed cards are worthless and don't collect them, and try to push people away from those cards. And now that Fanatics Topps is doing it, they're kind of like, it's the greatest thing ever, which I'm like, what are they going to say when Panini's got, you know, the unlicensed thing if they get strong-armed out of this? What are they going to say then? Because that'll be the interesting thought at that point in time of, are they going to back Panini because they've been Panini fanboys for a long time with the official license? And are they going to do that? Because as a fan of baseball cards, I'll say this. The unlicensed Panini stuff, I'm not a fan of. I don't like the design or look of their unlicensed stuff.
No,
it's not good. And if that's a sign of where Panini goes because they're going to continue making cards, like, just look at the baseball stuff, guys. I
haven't seen any Panini cards that are really that good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're not really fans of
Some of them look like they were made on
those
those apps that you make baseball cards for your kids.
Yeah.
Ooh, yikes. I don't know. Do you care about Topps Chrome basketball? Are you interested in this, Nick?
I like Topps Chrome. I'm excited to see what comes out of it, honestly. Whether it's unlicensed or not, Topps Chrome has its name. It's been backed up since the 90s. I've been collecting them since the 2000s. And one of my first ones I had was Kobe Bryant's Topps Chrome card. And like, since then, like, I've been collecting it. Like, I know people that live in Arizona are probably like, you collect Kobe? I don't collect Kobe, but that card was his rookie, and I loved it. It's a classic card. But this batch that's coming out, I'm excited for it. Like, I don't care that it's unlicensed or anything like that. Like, it looks clean. You look at that Wemby card, it looks clean. It looks nice. It doesn't look like it's cheaply made. It doesn't look like it's rushed. It looked like they actually took the time to put the details into it.
Best Wemby rookie for him this year for his rookie year.
Panini doesn't think. Like, look at their Wemby cards this year. Like, we all joke about the curtain. Like, they know, Panini knows that this card in Prism, their most well-known for product that they produce every single year, that everyone fanboys over and gets on their knees for, they know that this guy in this draft, in this set, is going to be big. And what do? They do a curtain in the background. And so you guys are telling me that with all their print lines and all their problems and the million parallels and all that, and their quality control, their redemptions, their customer service, all that is, like, better than what Topps is going to put out and what Topps has been doing in baseball for the last 4 to 5 years. You know, as well as before that, but clearly, obviously, I'm trying to recognize on stuff they've done recently. Just because there's a San Antonio logo on one and not the other, you're gonna tell me you're gonna support the other one? Like, that to me just blows my mind. at least, Topps may be owned by a crazy, insane conglomerate at this point. But it doesn't mean that they don't put out good stuff and that their quality control is better and their return on investment is better and their less errors and less print lines and less, less problems.
Yeah.
So more for the people. An example of, people who are trying to involve the community and the industry and people. And so I don't know. It's been getting a lot of hate.
It has, and I think that you're right with that. Of like this, the way it looks. If the Topps quality and everything like that is of this standard and this kind of quality with the photos and everything like that moving forward, I'm just like you. I'd rather have the Topps product, even if it's unlicensed for now, than have a Panini product that I have a hard time. Like I have to, there's a lot of times where I'll look at a card of a guy that's in Panini and be like, I have to force myself to like it because it's the only thing. And I'm like, I don't want to force myself to like something if I really don't like it. Like I want to actually like the card for what it is. For me, I've always been a very big fan of Fleer Ultra, which is why like when I came back, that's not there. Like I don't have that option for me to collect anymore. And so I am like a free agent looking for the brand that I like and would like to buy, and Topps draws me in more because, yes, I'm a baseball fan first, but also I like their design. If Topps was making just football cards, I'd probably be more into their football cards anyway. It's just the way that the cards are. It's better quality. So,
well, like we talked about before, like you love like the photography that Topps uses too, compared to like how Panini is, and that's especially Topps Stadium. Their photography with it's amazing.
Yeah, that was the thing, is if I had a second place choice of mine, it was always Topps Stadium Club, because those were the two like retail packs that I would see the most as a kid, was like Fleer Ultra and Topps Stadium Club, and the photography and design caught my attention way more than anything that Upper Deck or now Panini ever did in their time frame. So I'm all for it. Like I would love to see that be kind of like a spot where maybe it is a competition again, where they both have the license for a while, and let's see what they can do. See what Panini gets a fire under their ass if they know that they're keeping the license, but Topps is getting it as well. That'd be
Panini's dead already, you guys.
I know.
Like what do they have? They don't have anything left. What do they have? Like give it 3 years. What is Panini producing in 3 years?
Unlicensed cards.
I just heard crickets.
of what? Like, don't they have to have the Players Association licenses too? They at least have to have the Players Association's license to make cards of the players.
Maybe that's where they can get into some of those like collegiate kind of stuff, like that they do those draft. I don't know if they have any ability to kind of hang on to
work
something
out
there
like
for something.
Legends contracts. Do like Legends cards. I mean,
we'll see.
Panini's in some serious trouble.
I mean,
they were already in trouble financially, legally getting sued for things they were getting sued for redemptions. They were getting sued because they copied Wildcard's design. I mean, they've been sued a ton.
Yeah.
So they are not in a good spot. This is
bell
this
ring
is gonna,
on this one, so I think that we can move into our next segment at this point.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we can keep talking about Topps since we all obviously like Topps, but
we could. But instead, we do want to give a shout out. So no one here on the show is like crazy into wrestling. So realistically, this would have been better with people, at least one person who is absolutely insane about wrestling. But we do want to at least cover it as a topic, as a quickie. I'm not aware of everyone here who made it this year, and I know a couple here and there, but we thought we'd at least go over it real quick, just to
we
give an example here.
We got to show our respect.
It fits our theme. We always like to do a little bit of talking about the Hall of Fame announcements and stuff like that. So that's part of what our show is about. Is as collectors, we are Hall of Fame fans, and here is the Hall of Fame coming up at you, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, almost everyone knows Paul Heyman or formerly Paul E. Dangerously. Paul, who created, or helped create ECW, and managed tons of people, including most recent, the Bloodline and Brock. So he gets in, well deserving. His entire life has been dedicated to professional wrestling from the organizational standpoint, managerial performance. He's done a great job. He's a great personality. As far as I know, he's a great human being. I don't know. Who knows with some of these people, but, it is what it is. We're all just human beings. So one inductee was Bull Nakano, who, I'm familiar of hearing the name because I was a 90s wrestling kid, and I would read Pro Wrestling Illustrated and things like that, but I never really got to experience matches from her. I feel like most of her work was done in Japan. Thunderbolt Patterson came, also known as Claude Patterson, is also Hall of Fame. I am not familiar with any of his work. It seems like he was a little bit before my time. So, but okay, cool. Leah Maivia, who is The Rock's grandma, and I guess she got in as a contributor, as a promoter for wrestling.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I think that was super awesome.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
And then The Rock himself's going to be inducting her too.
Okay, yeah, it should have already happened. We're a little late. We're 3 weeks late on this.
Oh,
so
yeah, that one's a good one because it's a family ties kind of thing, brings the whole thing together.
Yeah,
he and his family with wrestling. It makes sense, and especially for what she did for not just his family, but also with where their family's been in the wrestling world from that time.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy how much that family has ties into the professional wrestling industry. It's wild. There was a tag team that got in, the U.S. Express, which is also a little bit before my time. But Mike Rotunda and Barry Windham. I saw a lot of Barry Windham in WCW in the early '90s, and the Widowmaker in WWF in 90, 89, somewhere around that era when I was growing up. So I got to see a little bit of those guys as individual wrestlers, but I didn't get to see them as a tag team as U.S. Express. But they got in, so good for them. Mostly, 80s, early 80s there. And then is the Celebrity Hall of Fame, which I think is completely useless. There are some complete, I love Snoop Dogg. Why is Snoop Dogg in the WWE Hall of Fame? Come on, but we got Muhammad Ali in the WWE Hall of Fame now. I believe Muhammad Ali was at WrestleMania 1 or 3. I can't remember offhand. Doing some stuff. Special guest referee in WrestleMania 1 main event. So that's the level of his participation besides just general support throughout his life. So do I think that's useful? No. Is it kind of cool? Does it bring a pop culture element? I get it. I understand why they do it. Even though I don't necessarily care. So given I went over them, do you guys know anyone here at all besides Muhammad Ali, of course,
just
and
Paul
maybe
Heyman.
Paul Heyman?
For me, Paul Heyman, I think there's a little bit of the guys from the tag team guys, because I also watched the Saturday mornings wrestling back in the 80s as well. So I'm sure I've seen those guys pop up on it. I wasn't an avid fan of wrestling. My time of watching wrestling was really kind of the Attitude Era with WCW and Stone Cold Steve Austin and stuff like that when they first came in. So that's probably my watch era of when I did it, and therefore some of these guys are a little bit before my time.
Okay, Nick, what's your familiarity with these inductees?
I honestly have no familiarity with them. Not big into wrestling. I probably tried watching it probably for a few months, probably during the Stone Cold, Goldberg, Kane, Sting era.
Okay, that same Attitude Era.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
wasn't your thing, so
it was
it's all
a quick
good.
phase that came and went. I'm more into basketball, so it was probably a summer thing where it was I was into it, and then when school came back, it was all right, here's all my basketball buddies again.
Okay, fair enough. No, it's all good. If you don't care, you don't care. It's all good. or if you're not familiar with, whatever it is. But I'm glad we went over them. So I always look forward to it every year, and then I always
got to pay our respects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like I haven't done it yet, but I do this every single year. I pick a night where I'm not doing anything and I'm just relaxing, and I watch all their induction speeches. So I'm gonna do that at some point. But I do that for like all the sports that I care about anyway, or in this case, sports entertainment. But yeah, it's fun. But all right, we're moving on. It was supposed to be quicker than what it was, but it is what it is.
All right, so going back to talking about Topps, here's a new Topps Now card that came out, but it's only for one person. So this guy, his name is Bo Thompson, and in 2017, he said, I'm going to collect 1 million Chicago Cubs cards. And in April, he was about to hit his 1 millionth card, and the Chicago Cubs and Topps actually brought him out to Wrigley Field and presented him his 1 millionth card, and it was his card. And it was like a picture of him holding like my millionth card. And then he ended up doing the opening pitch for the Cubs that night. So I think stuff like this is really awesome. I think it's really cool that someone had like a goal, and then to hit that milestone with someone like the Cubs who he's trying to collect. I think that was a great part on the Cubs and a great experience for Bo Thompson to experience all of that.
Marketing W for Topps here.
Exactly. No, I liked this story. I've followed Bo a little bit beforehand. He was kind of popped up because when I was first getting into the hobby again, like, and watching stuff on like reselling and eBay things, he did a video with Ty Wilson on his Break Culture channel, where he talked about when he went full time selling cards. And so I will say some people have given a little backlash to like him on this and so on. And I just want to say, like, this is a positive story. This is where you want to like focus on the good of the hobby of like, this guy is
he's a dealer.
Guy, like,
who cares?
He buys and sells cards, and he's collecting 1 million Cubs cards as his goal. And he got there, and it's cool that Topps made a card of him for it. I think this is what I like seeing of the Topps Now stuff, is recognizing a moment and like, look at this. This is a fan who gets a fan card of himself to get to that goal of what he was looking to do. That's kind of cool that Topps recognized that and, gets him that on that.
Yeah.
And, like, he got a day, and he's going to remember this for the rest of his life.
Yeah, Marketing
absolutely.
W. I mean,
and
even if he is a dealer, he's still a collector enough to have 1 million Cubs cards. And I mean, like, who else? Who do you expect to have like the best Lamborghini collection? Well, it's probably the guy who owns the Lamborghini dealership. So
exactly.
It's not like, what else do you expect? Do you expect some like 9-year-old child to have the 1 million Cubs cards? Like, no. I mean, okay, who cares? I don't know anything about the guy. He might be a trash human being. He might be a great person. I don't know. But marketing W, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I like it.
It's a great story. It's great to me. It's great for the hobby. It's very positive and uplifting for the hobby, because you never know like what goals you may try to go for and you're gonna obtain it. This guy obtained his goal, and he obtained it in a high fashion. And to me, it's just completely uplifting.
Definitely.
This is kind of the kickoff of the summer with this Topps Now stuff. Like, originally, like, we would see Topps Now do like big achievements that players had, but like this summer, they've really kind of hit on fans and the hobby with these kind of things. Like, shortly after that, we saw the beekeeper here in Arizona get his card. So there's been some like really interesting things. Not everybody's gonna want to get those cards, but hey, if you're that beekeeper, that dude's gonna remember that day. Like,
Brian is just destroying these segues here. I mean, it's obvious, but he didn't tell me ahead of time. So if I better be paying attention, because if I don't pick it up, then something's gonna happen. So speaking of Topps Now and these dumb little silly cards that they're doing, didn't they do like a raccoon or something too, or they did
like a squirrel or
animal,
something like that ran on the field.
Maybe it was a squirrel that ran across. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I think that this is really cool. This is a perfect example of one of those silly cards. And this is you've probably all heard about it by now, but there was a woman in the stands of a game, and she got beaned by a foul ball, and
110 mile an hour hit off the bat foul ball. Not just like, this is a screamer.
Yeah.
Like, that is a hit.
And she was a great sport about it, and she got quite a social media entertainment period out of it, with people commenting on their photo and such. Topps made a card once again. In my opinion, marketing W. Their marketing team is being very, very good lately, and this is an example. But not only that, this isn't just here to sit here and blow Topps all episode, by the way, you guys. It's just, hey, this is good news, you know? Of course I got to say that. But no, the coolest part about this is Topps gave her a certain number of cards, and she then signed, I don't know whether she signed all of them or some of them. I'm not, the full story, the full scoop. I just saw it and thought it was cool. But she signed a ton of cards and put them on eBay and sold them on eBay. And I think the photo example that I shows them at like $400 or something. I'm pretty sure a ton of them went for like over a K. Might have been like $1,200, $1,300. That was the last time I saw something about
I thought I heard one get to 2,000, but maybe
Good.
that was just either way.
I didn't do that far of research, but I thought it was such a cool idea, and she donated a bunch of money to charity. I don't know what the percentage was. I don't know the charity. You guys can look up this information if you want to, but I just thought it was cool, and it was a little quick bit thing, and we wanted to cover it and talk about it. You guys think this stuff is cool, or you guys think it's dumb?
No,
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it. I'm just
both.
My
I think
main
it's
thing
both.
with it was, yeah.
But it's supposed
my
to
biggest
be.
thing. My biggest thing was that I was surprised she was actually awake to get that photograph. Like, after getting hit with that thing, I was like, when they said the pitch and everything like that, I'm like, because just the other day, Ketel Marte hit a homer, hit a lady in the head, looked like she got knocked out. So like,
I saw like an upper deck view of the ball. And how fast it went, and like it went to the stands below her, and hit her, like, and the person was like filming from the upper deck. That was going crazy fast, like,
yeah,
oof. But I mean, you know what? Good for her. She got beaned. She got some cool entertainment out of it. She got a bunch of social media presence out of it. She got a card, and then she did something positive with that, and she gave some money to charity. So I thought that was cool. So I want to move on real quick because we're pushing on time. But that was a cool little thing. So now we get to cover a less positive story. What's the word?
Dun. All right. So I'm a huge autograph collector, so this story kind of hit me. So there was a public speaking event. It was like a business conference where people can get a motivational speech from Tom Brady. But people were spending $3,600 for the whole entire thing, and that included the food, included going on the cruise, the speech, having front row tickets or front row seats to those speech. Plus, you get a meet and greet, and then you get items signed by Brady. So, how did this go wrong? Wow. There's a lot of people that got like high-end memorabilia signed, and he just was lazy, and I mean lazy with the signature. And you guys should know, like, Tom Brady's signature is very legible and very noticeable when you see it. You're like, yeah, that's a Brady signature. These, I swear to God, they were horrible, and most of the people...
Like circles or whatever?
It was just like a little squiggle. Like, it looked like a 5-year-old did it or something.
Oof.
And
a lot of them looked like he just put Brady. He didn't put Tom Brady. He put Brady is all it was.
It looked like two letters to me.
Yeah.
That were squiggly lines. Now, I mean, you guys ever seen that picture or that video of Conor McGregor where he's just like, he's just turning and the guy's turning the next one? He's just like doing this like a circle, like a line, and then the guy's just flipping through. That's the way I feel like this looks. I would be absolutely heartbroken if I like spent a bunch of my money and my time and I went and saw Brady and I spent a bunch of money on some dope ass item and then went and got it signed and like he did this. I would be so heartbroken. I would literally be like, Tom, are you kidding me right now? You know how much money I paid to be here? So I would give him a hard time about it in person. I wouldn't care. It's ridiculous. I don't care if it wasn't originally an autograph signing event. When you put yourself out there and you say, I'm going to be at an event and there will be a signing and you can bring an item or whatever the case is, and then you do a crappy job, that's on you. It takes Tom Brady an extra quarter of a second to a half a second to make a better signature for these VIPs. And I'm not trying to stick up for the rich guy, but if you pay money to go do something and then you don't get that, like, this is awful. This has essentially ruined these items. I mean, he doesn't care. Tom Brady doesn't care. No. You know, why should he? He's, he's one of the most famous, well-known, players of all time. Yeah. So, like, I don't know. It just, it annoys me as well.
He's pretty much just as iconic as Michael Jordan, except in football. When you think football now, you think Tom Brady.
It's disappointing, but I mean,
there were a lot of people at this event too, because they didn't specify anything with it, that they did show up with cards of Tom and wanted him to sign cards, like just sports cards that they had, and it sounds like he didn't sign a single one of those. So if you paid for that event and that's all you brought, you were left with nothing. So he was reluctant to sign some of those tickets that you see, like there's like Super Bowl tickets and game tickets, like those tickets. He had apparently like they said, there's some people that said they were visibly could see he was like not wanting to sign it, so he was showing even the body language like he didn't want to do this, from people that reposted some of this. And some of the stuff he did sign, like we know they were bad autographs. It's just like, it's not his signature. It's a bad look, and I think he tried to pass this off on like Fanatics, saying he couldn't do it or something.
I mean, we covered a similar story already like this with the whole Tyson Beck event.
Exactly.
Like 3 or 4 episodes ago. I'm already tired about talking about Tom Brady's auto. I thought it was dumb. I thought it was lazy. Does anybody else have any opinions on it?
No, I mean it was not a good look for him, and it just kind of like tarnishes his autograph, and all these pisses off high-end collectors.
Come on, Tom. What the hell,
Tom?
He
can be better.
Well, it's a shame
he'll
that
go to a card shop.
Well, it's a shame there's so many people that got like game used memorabilia and stuff like that. They get it signed, and then after they get it signed, they took it to Beckett, and even Beckett was like, "No, I'm not authenticating this. Here's your rejection." Like, no thanks, sorry. So like,
what did Beckett actually reject stuff from this signing?
This one guy submitted 6 items, and they rejected all 6, saying there's no way he signed this. This isn't his signature.
That's brutal.
And they had a Fanatics rep on site that could have authenticated all the stuff to like at least, even with the terrible signature, say, yeah, we were there and witnessed it, but they didn't do that. They just there was no authentication either. So like you got screwed either way, because the Fanatics guy could have saved you and he didn't.
Yeah, that's pretty lame.
When I was reading a story, there was one guy that was even saying, like, you talk about all this motivation and your speech and everything, and then you give a lack of effort into your signature, which kind of goes the opposite of what you just spoke about to everyone. And
and I know some people try to turn it around and say that it was a motivational speech that you were paying for, and that's what you should have been there for. But let's face it, we're sports fans. If you're going to show up to an event and can afford to pay that, a lot of sports fans are going to oh, he's going to sign something? Let me bring like this along to have him sign it, So, yeah.
When especially when they're going to say like, oh, here's a meet and greet and an autograph from him, like everyone's going to be excited. And you're paying $3,600 to make that happen. So when people pay that money, you expect at least quality, not just like, oh, here you go. You had my speech. That should have been enough.
If you advertise it, then there shouldn't be any issue. But whatever. Yeah. Somebody dropped the ball. Brady dropped the ball probably because he was nervous about Fanatics. But
they're a little deflated there probably.
Good times. Thanks, Fanatics. Remember how people used to, they'll blame the thanks Bush, thanks Obama, thanks Fanatics. All right.
When that goes from the last episode when we talked about how Fanatics and their exclusive deals, like this is one of those things that kind of make it hard to enjoy autograph signings when it's not one of their exclusive.
Yeah, I'm done talking about them. All right, enough. We're moving on. I'm so sick of talking about bullshit with Fanatics. All right, so here's something that happened. I went to Phoenix Fan Fusion with my girlfriend over a weekend, and JSA was there. So I had a nice little lengthy conversation with one of the gentlemen at JSA. We previously on the show talked about the CGC and JSA merger. We've even referred to it earlier on the show and talked about it with that as well. And I thought it was kind of interesting. I asked him, I showed him our show, and I gave him a couple of my cards, and I said, "Here, give one of the social media manager, so he knows when I'm tagging him, he knows who I am." And I spoke to him about what JSA's involvement on both the cards and the comic book side is. And this is interesting because when we previously discussed it, I mentioned like, hey, this is not only good for the card industry, but also the comics industry because now they can authenticate comics. Well, it turns out that was one of the primary things and reasons on why they wanted to bring JSA on, is because now they can authenticate comics. I think cards was more of a secondary. Now, we don't think of it as a secondary because, we collect cards and we're in that industry. But in the comics industry, CGC is already huge. And that was one of the things that they did not do is authenticate comics. So they would grade the comic as, signature, unknown signature on front with Sharpie or whatever, instead of actually authenticating the auto. So when I mentioned it, like, was this, they mentioned that this was mainly brought on for comics first right away, and that the card aspect of it would be pushed a little bit further down the road. So I would not expect JSA's authentication with encapsulation with a CGC slab to happen anytime super soon here, because it seems like they're focusing more on comics right away. So maybe it's something that we'll see down 5 to 6 months down the road, maybe a little bit longer. I don't know how it takes and how they're going to incorporate what they're doing with who authenticates and from where and factories and assembly lines and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know how they're doing all the logistics of it, but just know from a card side, we may have to wait anywhere between 6 to 12 months before we see any movement on that area. But if you are a comic guy, it's good news, and it's pretty good for you news right now, because from what I understand, they're pretty much starting like authentication on comics right away right now. So that's cool. That's instead of a normal mailbag segment, I wanted to do a little follow up since I had spoken to them at Phoenix Fan Fusion. Knowing that, you guys have anything to say about that? Any comments regarding that?
I'm willing to wait the 6 to 12 months. I mean, I'm Team CGC. Like, I'm excited for what they have coming up.
we got a fanboy. We got a fanboy over here.
Yeah. I mean, for me, when you mention that, it kind of makes more sense that way, because like, if your number one business of encapsulation and grading is comics and sports cards is a secondary, like, it does make more sense that you're going to do that on there. I almost wonder, like, trading, like, TCG cards might probably be the first up to get that beam before sports cards, because like Pokemon cards and stuff like that, I would assume they need there's going to be some JSA authentication there for like the artists that do some of the artwork there. So I would assume that would probably be second, and then third would be the sports card. But
it'll probably come all at the same time for cards.
But I mean, at the same time, I'm not much of an autograph, collector myself. Like, I prefer just the player cards and the parallels within that are non-autograph, but just knowing that they're paired together, that if I become someone that's going to start submitting to CGC all the time with cards from now on, it's cool that they've got JSA and that that'll be there. But yeah, like Nick said, I can wait. I'm not in no rush to get stuff authenticated.
I don't think any of us are in a hurry. I do think it's just, obviously this is good news for some people, and I think it's also important for us to see like a different perspective, because when you think about it, as Brian said, the card grading is not their bread and butter. The comic slab is their bread and butter. And that is going to be, that's the most income that CGC makes is through their comic stuff, I would assume. I mean, I'm not looking at their books, but, you know, that's where they're most well known. And if they are losing market share to their number 2, which is like CCCG or something, I can't remember offhand, I'm probably wrong on the acronym, but if they're losing, if they're losing market share to their number 2, because the number 2 does authentication and they don't, bringing JSA on is strengthening the CGC base even stronger. So even though cards may be secondary and may not, you know, actually have the authentication for a while and stuff, you know, it seems like they're just being smart from a business sense, taking care of that. And then us on the card side, we can see that now and we understand that a little bit more than normal, I guess. So, but I don't know. I thought that was a cool follow-up. Whatever.
Yeah, it was really cool. It's making that connection within the industry and kind of learned the inside scoop of why that happened, other than like what we thought, which was just for the authentication of sports, where you didn't, you know, I know you mentioned it in that episode that, you know, it could be with the comic book authenticators. And funny to think, I was watching a YouTube video the other day of like guys getting autographs, and they were comic book autograph guys, and how a lot of them were saying things of like going to that other brand for grading and authentication of it because they could get it all done at once, because they knew CGC they could only get if they were just grading the comic itself. So that's the, you know, these were like serious comic book collectors getting autos that literally were saying they go to the other brand for that reason. Now they won't have to. Yeah.
No, they're playing smart business. So, but I think that's it for the show. All right. So yeah, that was fun. I had a good episode. Yeah.
I had a good episode. It was really fun.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. Good. Even though I'm tired of seeing my own face on here, but thanks for watching, everyone. Check out our social medias, and check out the Inside the Hobby social medias and blah, blah, blah. Thank you, Nick, for joining us for the last 2 episodes. Go check out Trading Frames. If you need any custom framework, especially if you're from AZ, because then you don't have to deal with shipping costs, you can pick it up at a show. He's at a bunch of shows. Does some great framing jobs. You can check out all of his stuff on YouTube here and on Instagram. So yeah. Anything else to say, gents?
Thank you so much for having me these past 2 episodes. It's been fun.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back again in the future. Maybe we will
work on my camera quality.
I was just gonna say maybe we'll fund something better than your potato cam, but it was good having you here nonetheless. Awesome. Thank you. Later, everyone. Peace.
We'll see you
next one.